Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. If you're tuning in, you know what we do here. We break down the tactical truth behind the stats, and today, we're going sharp, laser focus. We're looking only at 4 key fighters from the Infusion Battle Arena's Session 8. That's Red Hood, Deadpool, She-Hulk, and Gladiator.
Exactly. And just a quick refresher on how this all works before we dive in. Remember, these percentages come from tons of simulations. Characters are based on their consistent portrayals. Crucially, there's no prep time. So what you're seeing is basically how combat proficiency, power levels, and their natural style, discipline, chaos, whatever, clash.
Got it. Okay, let's get straight into it then. Starting at the street tier, Red Hood. Jason Todd, we know him. Lethal marksman, assassin-level skills, but the arena seems to highlight his ruthlessness and his adaptability when things get messy.
Yeah, that willingness to cross lines is key, and it gets tested immediately. First big encounter, he runs right into Deadpool. Enhanced tier Chaos Agent, the numbers show Deadpool taking it 60% of the time.
Okay, wait, hold on. Jason's the tactician here, right? He's disciplined. Why the 60% loss? That feels counterintuitive. Is his discipline failing him?
It's less a failure of discipline and more about, let's call it lethality saturation. Jason wins by making openings, getting that clean, permanent kill. That's his method. But Wade, his healing factor just completely shuts that down. You can't permanently kill him within the rules. So Jason basically runs out of effective options. Ammo, resources, even just the mental energy to keep neutralizing someone who keeps getting back up. It forces him into an attrition fight, and that's a fight he just isn't built to win against Wade.
Huh. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So the chaos just wears down the strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, what about his match with, well, the king of enhanced mercs, Deathstroke? Slade Wilson takes this one pretty decisively, 65%.
Yeah, that gap's significant, and it makes sense. Slade's enhancements put him on Jason's level, physically maybe slightly above. But then you add Slade's decades of experience, his tactical genius. When you have 2 highly skilled armed fighters like this, those enhancements in Slade's superior brain just dominate. Slade doesn't need crazy healing. He just needs to be smarter and a bit faster. Perfect counter for Jason, really.
But Jason does manage to win against Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. 55%. This feels like it comes down to the specifics of the arena setup, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the firearms. Jason's expertise there, plus his willingness to use lethal force quickly. It gives him an edge over Ollie's archery, even with trick arrows. In that quick start scenario, Jason can just draw and fire faster than Ollie can pick, knock, and shoot a specialized arrow. That speed to lethality thing just pushes him over the 50% mark.
Then there's Moon Knight, another really close one. Moon Knight just edges at 55%. They're both known for being, well, violently unpredictable. What's the difference maker?
It boils down to damage soak, really, endurance. Moon Knight's whole deal involves taking hits, pushing through pain, that relentless ferocity. Jason wants the clean finish, right?
Yes.
Mark Spector uses his own body like a weapon. He absorbs punishment and just keeps coming. Jason's skill keeps it close, definitely. But Mark's ability to just endure that brutal close quarters violence lets him outlast Jason's more calculated style in, well, just over half the scenarios.
Okay, and rounding out Red Hood's fights, a solid win against the Punisher. 60-40. You'd think Frank Castle's grit and firepower would make it closer.
Frank's incredibly tough, no doubt. But Jason brings more to the table here. He's more agile. His hand-to-hand is arguably more versatile, thanks to, the Bat Family training. Plus, Jason uses more advanced tech non-lethals, disruption gear. Frank is pure lethal force, mostly conventional. Jason just has more tools, better equipped for a more technical fight than Frank's straightforward approach.
All right, let's make a hard pivot now. We saw Jason's discipline kind of buckle against Wade's chaos. Let's stick with Deadpool then, moving fully into the enhanced tier. His unpredictability fueled by that insane healing factor. This is his whole brand. But it's really interesting to see who can actually manage to contain that chaos.
And first up is the classic mercenary showdown, Deadpool versus Deathstroke. And despite Slade's reputation, it's surprisingly close. Slade only wins 55% of the time.
Wait, only 55%? I mean, Slade's one of the best strategists, period. Plus enhancements. You're saying Wade's chaos factor alone basically makes it almost a coin flip.
Pretty much, yeah. Slade's tactical mind and physical edge should give him a bigger lead. But fighting Wade changes the entire equation. Slade has to constantly account for the fact that Wade just keeps coming back. He can't plan for a decisive end. He has to plan for continuous neutralization. That burns through Slade's focus, his energy, his resources, way faster than it does for Wade. So Slade wins more often because he is better at the immediate takedown, the strategic move. But that constant pressure, the regeneration fatigue, it forces errors. And Wade capitalizes on those errors almost half the time.
Wow. Okay, but that same regenerative chaos works wonders against Moon Knight, doesn't it? Deadpool wins 60%.
Oh, definitely. This is pure attrition, and Wade is the king of attrition. Moon Knight uses his pain tolerance to intimidate, to surprise. That just doesn't work on Deadpool at all. Wade's healing, his agility, his nonstop energy, it just overwhelms Mark's ferocity. Deadpool wins by just, well, being unkillable and exhausting Mark.
And the margin's even bigger against Punisher, 65 to 35. That feels like the most predictable outcome here, given Frank needs that kill shot.
It really is. Frank Castle is all about maximum immediate damage, ending the threat permanently. Against Deadpool, that core tactic is nullified. The healing factor makes it almost impossible for Frank to actually finish him. So all of Frank's planning, his ruthlessness, it just doesn't achieve the goal state. Deadpool can absorb it all.
And yet, technique finds a way. Taskmaster scrapes a narrow win, 55%. How does someone who relies on predictable patterns beat the master of unpredictability?
Taskmaster's gift isn't just copying, remember. It's photographic reflexes. He understands the underlying mechanics. So yeah, Deadpool's chaos absolutely disrupts Taskmaster's usual flow, makes it hard for him. But Taskmaster's brain is processing incredibly fast. He starts to anticipate the intent behind the chaos. He adapts, looks for the core martial arts forms Wade defaults to, even subconsciously. Tony Masters gets that slight edge by focusing on incapacitation, breaking a limb, a nerve strike, not trying for a permanent solution, which he knows is futile against Wade.
Right, same kind of principle against Wolverine then. Logan takes it 60%, shared healing factor, but Logan wins more.
He does. It comes down to experience and, frankly, discipline again. Logan has centuries of combat, a refined killer instinct. Wade's skilled, but Logan's more focused. Logan knows how to maximize those tiny windows when Wade is momentarily down or regenerating. A critical cut, targeted trauma. It buys Logan moments to reset, to press the advantage. It's train lethal ferocity versus, well, weaponized annoyance sometimes. Logan fights to win. Wade often fights to entertain himself. That makes a difference.
Okay, huge jump now. Up to the superhuman tier, She-Hulk, Jen Walters. We're leaving behind the street fights and healing factors, moving into gamma strength, serious durability. How does her raw power stack up against the really versatile big hitters and tacticians?
Well, Jen's fights immediately show you how important things like flight and range attacks become at this level. Look at Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers wins 55% of the time.
Really? That surprises me a bit. Physically, pound for pound, isn't Jen stronger, more durable?
On the ground in a pure brawl. Yes, Jen likely dominates physically, but Carol can choose not to have that fight. Her flight, her energy projection. She controls the distance. Carol can dictate the terms of engagement far more easily than Jen can force a close quarters fight, so Carol uses that adaptability. She stays at range, wears Jen down with energy blasts. Jen's forced to chase or tank hits, and eventually Carol's versatility wins out slightly more often.
Okay, that makes sense. But She-Hulk gets a win against Knockout, 55%. Knockout's a powerhouse too, right? Known for raw strength.
Exactly. Very strong, very tough, former Fury from Apocalypse. But this is where Jen's specific advantages shine. She has that gamma-fueled resilience, maybe a higher threshold for sustained damage. Knockout hits hard, very skilled. But Jen's combination of top-tier strength and that incredible durability lets her outlast Knockout. She edges out Knockout's raw power in a direct physical confrontation.
Right, but then we hit the truly upper echelon, and the challenges spike. Superman. Kallark takes a big win here, 65%. What's the main reason for that wide margin?
Speed. It's almost entirely about speed and control. Superman's ability to accelerate, to move, to control the battlefield, it's just way beyond Jen's capability. He can land dozens of hits before she can react. He can move her physically, battlefield removal. BFR essentially taking her out of the fight before her strength or toughness even becomes a major factor. If you can't hit your opponent, your strength doesn't matter much.
And a similar story against Thor then. He also wins 65%, same kind of dynamic.
Very similar outcome, yeah, but maybe a slightly different mechanism. Still about control, though. With Thor, it's less about pure speed like Superman, and more about Mjolnir and centuries of combat experience. Flight is still key, but Thor also brings weather manipulation, lightning, ranged attacks with the hammer. He just has too many ways to attack Jen from angles she can't counter. He overwhelms her options despite her tenacity.
And finally for Jen, Wonder Woman. Diana wins 60%. The classic power versus skill matchup at a high level.
And skill takes the majority here, consistently. Diana's combat training is arguably the best there is. Precision, tactical thinking. She's not just trying to match Jen's strength. She's exploiting openings, using the lasso for control, the bracers for defense. She targets nerve clusters, joints, things that can affect even someone with Jen's durability, briefly. Diana applies technique to overcome the raw power differential.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, last stop. The metahuman tier. Gladiator. Kallark. And his whole deal is that confidence-driven power, right? Which makes him incredibly dangerous, but also volatile.
Extremely volatile. When he fully believes he can win, his power levels are astronomical, almost Superman level. And you see that raw power immediately against Captain Marvel. He wins 60%. His speed, his strength, his inherent invulnerability, it just overwhelms Carol's versatility here. He closes the distance too fast, hits too hard. Carol doesn't get the chance to implement her usual ranged tactics often enough.
And against Hyperion, another powerhouse, very similar power set. Gladiator takes that one too, but closer, 55%.
Yeah, this is like two freight trains colliding, immense power on both sides. But Kallark seems to have a slight edge in refined combat skill and maybe just raw speed. Hyperion is often portrayed as more of a pure brick relying on brute force. Kallark has that Shi'ar Imperial Guard training. It's a tiny edge, but in these simulations, that fraction of superior speed and technique gives Kallark the narrow majority.
But then we see the weakness, the confidence issue. Against Superman, Clark wins 55%.
And this is the key insight for Kallark, isn't it? Power-wise, they can be incredibly close, especially when Kallark's confidence is maxed out. He can match Clark in bursts. But Superman's greatest strength here isn't just physical, it's his mindset. That unwavering, calm determination. Facing someone like Superman who just won't be intimidated, who meets his power calmly, that can inherently create doubt in Kallark. And if Kallark's confidence flickers, even for a moment, his power level drops. That gives Clark the opening he needs to secure the win more often than not.
And it's the exact same story against Thor, isn't it? Thor also wins 55%. Consistency trumps fluctuating power.
Precisely. Thor brings centuries of battle wisdom, Mjolnir's versatility. If Superman challenges Kallark's mental consistency, Thor challenges his tactical consistency. Thor can change the battlefield with storms, use Mjolnir in tricky ways. It requires constant adaptation and focus from Kallark. Kallark's raw speed and strength are immense, but Thor's experience and the hammer's options just give him that slight, consistent edge.
And this pattern holds true in the rematch, the revisit, with Wonder Woman. Diana confirmed her 55% win.
Yes, it reinforces the whole point. Diana's skill, her tactical discipline, her own unwavering warrior mindset. She prevails more consistently against Kallark's confidence-based power. She controls the fight's tempo, her own temperament, better than he does. So yeah, Gladiator is absolutely spectacular, a potential world breaker, but he tends to lose these narrow majorities to fighters with steadier minds or just superior technical mastery like Clark, Thor, and Diana.
That really feels like the big takeaway for these top tiers, doesn't it? Consistency, discipline. That's what makes the difference when power levels get astronomical. And looking back down at Street and Enhanced, it's still just wild that Deadpool, with that insane healing, he still loses, albeit narrowly, to pure tactical mastery like Taskmaster, Deathstroke, and Wolverine. Skill finds a way.
Well, think about it. He crushed Punisher easily, right? Because Frank needs the kill to win. But against the Masters, Taskmaster, Slade, Logan, Osceola, they don't necessarily need the kill. They need neutralization, incapacitation. Their skill and discipline allow them to achieve that just often enough to overcome the regeneration factor in these controlled scenarios.
Which leaves us, and you, with a fascinating question to chew on until next time. In a world where you have chaos agents like Deadpool, fighters who seem biologically impossible to put down permanently, how much can pure technique, mental focus, and refined skill truly compensate for, well, immortality?
It's that difference between winning the immediate exchange and winning the overall encounter, dictated by who can stay consistent under pressure.
Definitely something to think about. We'll leave you with that. Join us next time as we turn our focus to 4 new combatants: Elektra, Black Panther, Wonder Man, and Blue Marvel. We'll see you then for the next deep dive.